Welcome into the caught myself. Welcome into the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, around about 12 o'clock from the E-Gallery studio in the fabulous Dallas Design District. What is this show? It is a current events stream of consciousness rant that should take about 2 hours, sometimes a little bit more. Today, we're looking at a sharp 2 o'clock cutoff because I got other things that we got to do here. How is everybody? Let's say hi to our early folks in the chat room. I'd like to invite you all to come on into the chat room. It's a cool hang. I don't know if it is. It seems like it is to me, but you know. We got Mikey D. Mikey D is in the chat room. Hi, Mikey. We got Taronda, as always. Taronda. Pete, we got in here. Who else we got? Let me keep going. Where's the other earlies? Come on, everybody. I need you to post up in the chat room. Just don't. Lurkers. I have a bunch of friends who are lurkers, like they never go in the chat room or anything. I'm like, what? They're friendly people. Go in there, have some fun. Peter's, we said Peter. We got Adam, we got Jeff. Okay, come on, here they come. There we go. All right, this show plays out in 4 segments. It is designed to get you all prepped up on all the things that you need to know about this particular day. It's history, it's past, and it's now. It is performed, as I say, in a stream of consciousness, which is just me ranting like a lunatic into a camera for about, as I say, 2 hours every day. Now, I'm not just going off and chasing rabbits, as we say, with these topics. I do stay sort of confined to a list of things that I've curated from earlier today. These are all the big breaking news, hot topics, trends, and all that. So if you're game, we should probably get started. Cameron's here. Byron's here. Okay. Barney. Got everybody showing up. All right. Very good. What'd you guys do last night? My son does this weird stuff. My kid is with me. My 15-year-old son is with me. And I had to bribe him to get him to do 2 things with me. One, watch Hard Knocks. He was not interested in watching Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. Even though the Chicago Bears are a team that he does obsess over. He just has no interest in this. Then I made him watch it. And he's like, that's pretty awesome. Is this on every week? And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah. You didn't know what it was. You just didn't want to watch this. You didn't know what, you had no idea what it was. And I'm like thinking, I'm going, oh, he's really not into it. Then he's sitting here watching it, and he's calling out random players that I don't even recognize. He's like, oh, look at Tyson. I'm like, what? Who? How did you know that was Tyson Bagent, our second-string quarterback? I didn't recognize him right away. So, you know, that was fun. And then we went for a walk. We took the dog for a walk, which was also, it's like pulling teeth to get him to come out. Come on, let's go for a walk. It's beautiful. We'll go. And it is a nice walk. It is a really nice nighttime walk that I take my dog on. It is literally across the middle of the Southern Methodist University campus. We just walk the SMU campus. It's lovely. And you would think a 15-year-old would be like, hey, this is kind of interesting. Also, considering it's one of the schools he wants to go to. No, he's going to fight me on it. So we're walking down this alley. They're right adjacent to SMU. We had crossed over Hillcrest, if you're familiar with the area. We crossed over Hillcrest. And we're walking down this alley. We're taking a shortcut back home. And he goes, what if we get robbed? And I'm like, dude, we ain't getting robbed. We're walking down it. He's like, we're walking down an alley. I go, we're walking down an alley on the campus of Southern Methodist University in Highland Park, Texas. This is an alley that backs up to billionaires' houses. Well, not billionaires where we were, but millionaires for sure. And then he goes deeper with the hypothetical. What if they were Bloods? And what if they came? I'm like, they're not coming out of nowhere. That's not happening in this neighborhood. Well, that started a fight between me and my 15-year-old. Here's how the fight started. My contention that this hypothetical isn't ever going to happen because I was of the belief that he was somehow subliminally telling me that he was a little bit freaked out to be in an alley. And I was trying to go, look, it's totally safe. So there was a miscommunication there. He responds with, you don't ever play when I do hypotheticals. And I'm like, well, this is a dumb one because there aren't going to be any Bloods or Crips jumping out of this alley. We didn't talk for the rest of the walk home. That was awful. Ugh. Teenagers. Am I right? Come on. Am I right? But what if they did? They're not gonna jump. Honestly, that's not a good hypothetical. You don't do hypotheticals. Stop yelling. These people call police, which is true. Right now, we're the criminal element in the alley. You're like fictionalizing some crime that could occur that would never occur in this area. And truth be told, we are the criminal element right now in the alley. We're the people that are causing a disruption because we're yelling. If the police are going to show up and ain't going to become for your fictional Bloods and Crips, police are going to come for us because we're yelling. Shmi says it's not an alley, it's the service entryway. That's true. It's the service path. It's where, the service path. I like that. Let's see here. Well, Peter says it's that 49-year age difference. It's not only that, it's that I realize that I was going deeper with the question. I wasn't just taking it on its surface and playing a hypothetical. I had deduced that he, on some level, was feeling a little creeped out about walking down this dark alley. And so I basically wanted to reassure him that nothing is going to happen in this alley. This is one of the, I even said that. I go, this is probably the safest alley in America, or one of them. And so, well, how would you know? And that started this. How would you know that? What do you got, a list? My kid is funny. All right, so that was my night last night. We watched Hard Knocks. It was all right. It was all right. I've been waiting 20 years for the Chicago Bears to appear on HBO's Hard Knocks, and last night they appeared. Last night they were there. It was the culmination of years and years of me going, why won't the Hallis McCaskey family allow them to be on Hard Knocks? They've been asked every year. Every single year, the teams or league's founding franchise, and, the Hallis McCaskeys, they're run by a 120-year-old woman. She's always been like, my dad wouldn't like this. Your dad didn't like paying black players. Why are we still leaning on what George Hallis would have done? Ugh. Anyway, they're on. And I was very excited. We did a whole night around it. Even the night before, I even turned to my kid before I went to bed and I go, one more sleep until Hard Knocks with the Bears. It was just all right. It was all right. I've seen every season of Hard Knocks. I like it. I think HBO does a really good job with it. I even like the in-season Hard Knocks, which is coming after this. Training Camp Hard Knocks is Hard Knocks 101. It's the original. It's the flagship. It's the Coca-Cola. And then in-season is the Diet Coke. And now they've got the new one, off-season, which is just, as I described, you might remember me describing this. I described Hard Knocks off-season with the Giants as just being an example of how obsessed we are with the NFL, that now we're even willing to watch accountants do their NFL work. And that is not what it was. Hard Knocks offseason with the Giants was the best season of Hard Knocks in any of the three categories that I'd seen in a long time. It was excellent. It was excellent. Oh, man, they revealed some stuff. We saw things that I couldn't believe we were seeing. Front office interactions and talking about Saquon Barkley, I guess he's going to go. I guess we're going to lose. I mean, what? It was the face of your franchise there after Eli left. Anyway, so last night's first episode of Hard Knocks with the Bears training camp, it was all right. It was all right. Again, though, first episodes are, if we're being fair, first episodes are always all right because, it's the first days of training camp and it's a lot about the new players and it's a lot about exposition and backstory. Weeks 2, weeks 3, then we start seeing the real characters take shape and we start actually seeing some football stuff, like injuries and, contracts and people getting cut. That's always my favorite episode of Hard Knocks, Cut Down Day. Oh, man, when you see these dudes, they're on the golf course because it's an off day and their phone rings. And they're like, yeah. It's Ryan Pace. Ryan Poles. Oh, my God. Ryan Pace was our former GM. Ryan Poles is the one I like, the new one. It's Ryan Poles. And when they get that call that they have to drive in. And then here's what they always say. Oh, this is the worst. They always say, hey, Mr. Poles would like to see you in his office. Oh, and bring your playbook. Oh, if they say bring your playbook, you're cooked. You're done. It means you got to turn in your playbook. We can't have you being cut and then putting that online or something like that. Bring your playbook. Although that's what they used to say. Now it's pad. Now they get iPads. And bring your iPad. Anyway, there you go. That's my review of the very first episode of Hard Knocks last night with the Bears. Hi, April. Hi, Kojak's here hanging out again. Al is here. All right. Hey, Al, you're Mexican, right? I need all my Mexican people in the chat room because I'm going to have a conversation about you Mexicans. That's right. I think I need who do I need? I need Adam Reyna. He's one of the top Mexicans that I know in my life. Al, are you Mexican? Gamboa sounds Mexican. It could be Italian. No, I keep going there. It could be Italian, but Al, I think we've been through this before. Al, yes. Hi, amigo. There you go. He is, of course. All right, I'm going to need you guys because we got to talk about some stuff. What else? What else are we going to talk about today? We got a whole bunch of stuff. We'll get into the VP pick stuff. We'll talk about polls. We'll talk about Olympics. We'll talk about medals. We'll talk about Snoop. We'll talk about poop in the river. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into. All right. So what do you say we get started? But before we do, I do need to mention once again, we are in the midst of another one of these, horrible, awful, gut-wrenching. We're trying to raise $200. Dude, we made like 15 bucks yesterday or 20 bucks. Help out the show if you can. It runs on your tips. Dig deep because we ain't going to make it. We ain't going to come close and it's going to just, not going to be good. So support this kind of talk radio. What is it? Free form, non-political. We're not carrying water for the man or anybody like that. It's just a narcissistic middle-aged man screaming into a live stream every day for 3 years now. Why do I do it? Well, because I said I'm a narcissist. That's reason number one. And two, I like it. And some of you like it. So if you do, please show that you like it and drop a little something. Help us out. Bills are not getting paid. To that end, though, there are some very exciting things that are happening, and I can't wait to officially make some of these announcements of new shows that we are going to be creating, podcast live streams. The goal here, I should talk more with you guys about the goal here, about what it is that I'm trying to do and what I hope that you'll go along for the ride with. It is my belief that radio stations, and when I say radio stations, what I'm talking about are local voices of the local community that are, long-standing. And for years and years, you look at the ticket. Ticket is amazing. Generations have listened to the ticket. We had an incredible thing going with Live 105.3 for about 12 years, 13 years, whatever it was when it finally imploded. We had a great thing over there. WBAP, where James is, has an incredible loyal listening audience who listen to, for the most part, locally produced content daily. Hardcore deep dives on the Cowboys, right? As opposed to maybe if you were listening to a national sports show where you'd have to listen to people talk about, we're going to talk to the Chargers expert. He's with the San Diego Tribune. Nobody cares about that. You just want every segment to be about the Cowboys or a Cowboys rival or something like that, right? So all those things exist and we know they work. But here's the problem. That technology, the signal that is distributing the ticket is like 180 years old, and it's reliant on an old tower on top of a hill somewhere that sends out a single signal to a bunch of people who are holding up another catcher antenna, and they catch it and they listen to it. That is so limiting. You go under a bridge, you lose it. You have to sit in your car because you can't go into the office and keep listening. It is an absolutely absurd way to do this. So what we're hoping to do here is create original content in that vein. Maybe create a whole new radio station that is only distributed through a stream or an app or whatever. So that's what we're trying to do here. And this show is not going to be part of it. This show might be, I am done doing this, okay? I'm done doing this. Do you guys go back with me long enough? Do you remember when I first started doing this? This original, the first like 10, 15 episodes of this noon rant. Well, it wasn't even the rant back then. It was just the noon show. And it was me and it was with partners and we were trying to, I don't know. And then people couldn't commit. It's like someone can't sit with me every day. I shouldn't be sitting here for 2 hours a day doing this. I should be out there with a job. I understand that fully and completely. So it was not because I wanted to, but 3 years ago, I started doing this thing by myself. just ranting. And it was really hard. Some of you may even remember on one of the first shows, I had a panic attack because I just didn't have the confidence that I could do it. Right? Middle of the show, I started flop sweating. I said, I gotta, and it was, I don't get panic attacks often. Probably had about 4 or 5 in my life, but that was one. And it's been 3 years now. And I think I do this, the one person commentary. I think I do this as well as anyone. I do. I think, it's called the Rush Limbaugh thing. Being able to work on your own with just a mic. No guests, no callers, although he even relied on that. I think I do that well. The show hasn't grown. The show isn't really, well, it hasn't caught on, for one thing. So what I've learned is, yes, I can do this, but this is not what people want. So my goal is to create something different daily, something, a talk show, something I hang out, something so much looser than what is on radio. Something somewhat like radio. If you're listening to a sports station, they've got an obligation to provide certain amounts of sports exclusively. Oh yeah, you'll hear about last night I got into a fight with the wife. You'll hear that intermittently, but really sports. I would like to just have a show where it's just cool people coming by. We're talking about current events. That's what I want it to be. Current events like this, but we're talking about it with people. Unfortunately, that's going to take an investment. So in order to do that, I'm not able to just do that. So I got to keep doing this until we can get to a point where we can invest in buy microphones, buy a switcher for multiple cameras. So that's what we're doing here. That's why this show continues, even though I've been saying, so we got to keep going. We can't cut everything off. And that's why I'm again saying, anybody out there, if you want to contribute, you want to be a part of the Radio Misfits, here's what we need. We need people who can produce their own stuff. We need people who are doing content who can produce your own stuff, because we don't have enough producers here. We don't have enough people to, do the stuff we're already trying to do. But we want to make you partners. We're trying to create a street gang of personalities. And right now it sounds crazy and far-fetched, but if we really do it, if we really try it, in 5 years, this could be the new ticket. You look at things like how Barstool started, right? So why not just do that on the local level? So that's kind of one of the things that we're trying to do, while also simultaneously establish ourselves as an entity here in the design district. We're trying, this is where we're from. This is our neighborhood. This is what we're doing. Now it sounds like we're having stakes and I'm pitching you, right, for an investment. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what this is about. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's going on and why the recent decline in pledge weeks have just, I've been really depressed. Shmi says, let's see. Shmi says, I only have 3 people I follow on YouTube that I set up notifications for. One is a motorcycle instructor. One is a stupid hot gym rat. And this show. This is the best part of my day. Thank you. And you know what? It's the best part of my day too. So I've been telling you guys. All right, let's get started. Here we go. Again, I'll leave that up. If you guys want to help out the show, man, it's desperately needed now. Drop a little something. But as I always say, man, it doesn't change the way I think of you people. I know that some people have not. And the people that have not mean just as much to me as the people who have. The people who can, I would ask you if you could. The people who can't, don't give it another thought. Okay? There we go. But I'm going to leave it up right there. You guys are the best. All right, let's get started. This is The Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We are here from the beautiful E-Gallery Studios in beautiful, beautiful Dallas's Design District. It's starting, early. We got a little bit of an early start here. 12:22. Usually I like to hit this point. I shouldn't say like to hit this point. Usually I hit this point around 30. We're at 22. Which means my internal clock is keeping good pace. Because remember, I have to get out of here at 2:00 today. Kid stuff. Oh, and then join me, 4:30 WBAP. I'll be on with the magnificent James Parker. Somebody who I'm trying to rope in here for a project. He's a radio misfit, and he just happens to be on WBAP in the afternoons, 2 to 5. James Parker, jamesparker.com. But he's going to be a part of it. some other names are going to be a part of it. I don't know. I'm just saying. Keep listening. Keep listening. See, this isn't a radio station. That's different. I think we need an app. But apps are so expensive and they're bad. Apps are bad. Like bad. I have so many bad apps that are just janky that I don't use anymore. And I know that it's not necessarily just a limitation of, we wouldn't be able to make a good app, because I'll tell you, I listen to the Odyssey app. Odyssey is one of the 3 largest radio companies in America. I listen on the Odyssey app, and that is the worst app. That is the jankiest. That thing is terrible. So I don't know. I don't know how you get people to listen via the stream. YouTube, become an exclusive YouTube stream, right? Is that something we want to do? Become an exclusive Facebook stream? See, I need experts. Hit me up, pugs@radiomisfits.com. Pugs@radiomisfits.com. If you got some ideas, if you've got some skills, we need people who are skilled. We have way too many people who think they're talented on a mic. Not enough people who can actually make them actually be talented. And that's what producers do. Don't ever underestimate people who know how to do the things that you can't. Peter says that new Live 365 app sounds like crap. D Vega says the ticket app is gold. Man, that's good to know. That's good to know, because everything that the ticket does. Is it a specific? Wait, no, it's not a specific. No, never mind. That's a Cumulus app, I'm guessing. Cumulus sucks. The ticket is like the lone shining star. The Dallas market, because I'll also tell you that WBAP is run really well. Because of my association with James, I've had an inside look. Bruce, I think is his name. That dude's doing a really good job over there. First of all, he hired Parker, which to me says that's the kind of talkers. That's the kind of PDs we need. Less of the, well, I don't even want to say it. I won't even say it. Cumulus Dallas is actually run pretty well. It's probably their highest performing market, I would think. Although Atlanta, they're big in Atlanta too, which is their historical home base. I don't know. Anyway, I just don't. I'm surprised that their app is good. I have to watch my favorite sports radio show, my favorite sports radio station, which I used to listen to almost exclusively on the Odyssey app. I now just listen exclusively on the YouTube app, because they also, as a radio station, have a full day YouTube stream. And that app is great. The YouTube app is awesome. I think that's what we lean into, being a YouTube show. All right. Anyway, we're working this through. We're just, thinking about things out loud. All right, guys, let's get into it. It is the 7th day of August, year of our Lord 2024. 220 days remain until the end of the year. Oh, nope. Sorry. Said that wrong. 220 days have passed. There are 146 days remaining until the end of the year. Okay, quarter one. Here we go, guys. We call this antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day. Here we go. Where is it? I can't find it. There we go. Because, that makes all the difference in the world. This show is so heavily produced with graphics and whatnot. Antecedently on this day. This is really just a fancy way of me saying this day in history. Previously, on August the 7th. Antecedently on this day in 1947, Thor Heyerdahl's balsa wood raft, the Kontiki, smashes into the reef at in the Tuamotu Islands. It's hard. It's the Taumoma. It gets crazy, and I just bail on the name. This was a 101-day, 4,300-mile journey across the Pacific Ocean on a raft, on a balsa raft. 4,000 miles across the open ocean on a balsa raft. This guy did this in 1945. Now that would be impressive, right? You're like, wow, he did that in 1945. Well, he was doing it to prove a point that ancient civilizations could have used rafts to go from like one part of the world to another part of the world. Here, I'll read you exactly what it says. On this day in 1947, Thor Heyerdahl's balsa wood raft, the Kontiki, smashes into the reef of Roria in the Tuamotu Islands. This after a 101-day, 4,300-mile journey across the Pacific Ocean in an attempt to prove that prehistoric peoples could have traveled from South America. That's, here's the thing. When I think of Thor Heyerdahl, I just, he's a great adventurer, but I kind of put him in the same classification as like the Richard Bransons and Steve Fawcett's. And now you got your Bezoses and all the rich guys going into space. There is a class of like super rich guy who just wants to be an adventurer, and we're going to race a balloon around the globe. Okay, whatever. Cool for you. Have fun. I used to always think of Thor Heyerdahl as that. But no, this dude actually had a point. He was actually trying to show that the migration of peoples could have occurred during ancient civilizations because he could do it in 1947 with the exact same stuff that they would have had back then. That's a cool thing. That was on this day. On this day in 1978, United States President Jimmy Carter declares a federal emergency at Love Canal due to toxic waste that had been disposed of negligently. Yeah, because we don't need regulations. Regulations. Dude, this whole place. You know how many people died? You know why your grandma died of cancer at 65 and everyone thought she was so old? It's because everything was polluted back then. Everything. Toxic shit. They just dump it in our drinking water and people would die. And everybody would be like, sure does seem like a lot of people got cancer around here in the last 10 years. And they just go, And then it wasn't until the late 70s when people actually started looking into these things that we started to realize that situations like Love Canal, which was the first big one, but certainly wasn't the last, were things that were occurring to us, the unknowing public from coast to coast for years and years. Love Canal. Read the story on that place. That place, what was done in that place was just illicit. This is the worst ground. This is the most toxic ground in the world. We can't do anything with it. What if we sold it to a developer? We can't sell it to a developer. They'll put houses here, and those people, that would be terrible. What if we didn't tell them what we put under there? That's the kind of shit that was going on, man. So, look, I'm not one of these crazy Democrats who wants everything regulated, but this idea that we don't need regulations is absolutely absurd. Of course we do, because where there's money to be made, dudes who want to be just a little bit richer will do shit. They'll take risks. They're gamblers, man. They're gamblers by nature. So yeah, certain things like what's going on with the drinking water in this neighborhood where they're building 3,000 new homes, those need to be regulated. All right. Let's keep going. On this day, antecedently in 1998, bombings at the United States Embassy in Tanzania and Kenya kill approximately 212 people. Anything ever come of that? Like, is that related to anything, or is that just? Because I remember when that happened in 98, right? Yeah, 98. We're talking about the African embassy bombings. I remember when that happened. I'm like, going to war with Africa now? What are we doing here? What's the problem? Now we got to worry about. Nothing really came of that, right? Who did that? We don't care. All right, moving on. No, we do, because a lot of people died. So, I'm not heartless and horrible. But what I mean is, like, as a significant historical event, we really don't seem to give that much. It's like, it was a big deal for a couple of weeks, and then we moved on. All right, let's see here. In 2007 at AT&T Park, Barry Bonds hits his 756th career home run. He surpasses Hank Aaron on this day in 2007. Of course, we know how that would end for Barry Bonds. Here's what's going on with Barry Bonds. There were two guys. I go far enough. This is like my baseball wheelhouse. This is when I was playing baseballs, when I was obsessed with baseball. There were two guys on the Pittsburgh Pirates, Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla, and they were really good. They were as good a twosome coming up in the National League as like Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry were with the Mets, right? I guess both of those are in the National League, now that I think about it. But they were skinny, frail kids. I mean, Bobby Bonilla was like tall and skinny. And in one off season, they both come back and they're gigantic. Not Bobby Bonilla famously got traded to the Mets. Barry Bonds would end up with the San Francisco Giants, where he would go on to be, for many years, the greatest baseball player of all time. He he was playing great. And then it became obvious that, his head was gigantic and he was on steroids and became the poster boy for it. And then you had the whole ball coast situation. It was a mess. But here's my thing about both Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds that I've never quite understood. And this just must be some kind of next level competitive drive. They were already two kids that looked like they were going to go to the Hall of Fame before they ever took a drop of juice. But I guess you can't say that because they were too young before they went on the juice. But those first 3-4 seasons of Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds, before they looked like, giant, massive juice heads, they were good. They were really good. So, and now Barry Bonds, my God, he's one of the most demonized, he's probably the second most demonized player in baseball, right behind Pete Rose, as far as living players. So, I don't know. There you have it. And here's the other thing about Barry Bonds, okay? On this day in 2007, he passed Hank Aaron's home run record. Here's the other thing about Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was a dick. Like, when all this bad shit started happening to him, there was nobody, press guys who had covered him for decades. There was nobody that was going to come to his aid in any way, shape, or form because Barry Bonds is a legendary prick. Right, there you go. That's going to do it for this day in history. Antecedently on this day, as we say, let's go to quarter two. These are birthdays. People born on this day in 1876, Mata Hari. Mata Hari. Oh, she's a real Mata Hari. What was Mata Hari? Mata Hari was apparently what passed for the hottest chick anyone had ever seen in 1870. Nah, this was during World War I. So she was a spy. She was a Dutch spy in World War I for the Germans. And she was a belly dancer. She was a belly dancer and she was a stripper. Let's just call her what she was for the time. She was a stripper. If you wanted to update the story of Mata Hari, she'd be a stripper. And she was a stripper for like all of these, Allied forces and all that stuff. And she was convicted of giving secrets to the Germans. Mata Hari. She was a hot stripper. And men never change. We're always the hot strippers. On this day, born in 1942, Garrison Keillor. He's one of the strangest people that I think I've ever laid eyes on. Ugh, that guy has always made me creeped out. Garrison Keillor, he had this, he became big in radio. Like he was climbing back when I was, also in radio in the 90s. So he was around and he was a figure that we paid attention to, but I just always felt that he was so weird. I saw him once at a convention in Chicago, a radio convention. This is probably 1994, 1995, somewhere in there. He was tall, he was lurking, he was weird looking, and he was like, he says that he's on the spectrum now. He says, so, and that's kind of what I observed. I observed but then I also observed him being a jerk to like PR people and stuff like that. So anyway, I think he had some kind of a scandal where he was fired from NPR. Prairie Home Companion was like a juggernaut for about 10 years. But he turned out to just be a real jerk, a real weird, creepy. In years that would follow, he would blame it on being a highly functioning autistic, and okay, all right, maybe. I don't know, but, Garrison Keillor, born on this day in 1942. I just always thought he was a weirdo. Born on this day in 1960, David Duchovny. He's my guy. I love David Duchovny. You want to hear a badass couple of running buddies? Check this out, man. 1985, let's say. Yeah, let's say 1985. 1985, New York City, Studio 54, big line out front. 3 dudes hop out of some car. Let's call it a nice car. 3 dudes hop out of a nice car, and they cut the line, and they walk right into Studio 54 in 1985. David Duchovny's in that group. You know why? Because he was running buddies with JFK Jr., JFK Jr. and David Duchovny were like best buddies. Imagine those two, 1985, Studio 54. They're in their prime. They're like 21, 22 years old. JFK Jr., first of all, was like the most desired male bachelor on the planet. And then the guy getting his drippings is David Duchovny. But here's the thing, there was a third guy in that running group. And David Duchovny was apparently the runt of the litter, because the second guy was a guy was very famous at the time for being a male model. That's right, their third buddy from growing up was a really famous 1980s male model. So it's JFK Jr., a really famous 1980s male model, and David Duchovny. Lock up your women. Lock up your women, man. Woo! So who's the male model? Because, yeah, he's somebody too. The male model is Jason Begay. Jason Begay. Does the name mean anything here? I'll pull him up for you. Jason Begay. I love Jason Begay. Primarily, he first became someone that I was aware of because of the David Duchovny show Californication. I don't know if you've ever seen Californication. There he is. All right. I don't know if you've ever seen Californication. It's an absolutely brilliant show on Showtime, and I'm about to restart my binge watch of it. It's incredible. David Duchovny plays a writer who's had one book turned into a movie, and he's got a lot of money off of that, but he doesn't have any other ideas. So he's just running around Hollywood seeking out love related. He just bangs everything. It's a crazy lifestyle. The character's name is Hank Moody. He is my favorite male character in the history of TV. I want to live my life like Hank Moody, but I just haven't written the book that was turned into a multi-million-dollar blockbuster film. Anyway, Jason Begay first came to my attention as a guy on that show. Oh, man. Hold on. Jason, hold on. Having some issues here. Wait. So he's the third guy. He's the third guy. JFK, David Duchovny. Here, I'll show him to you. He's this dude. Your aunt is probably all hot for Jason Begay. Jason Begay. He definitely ain't gay. He's that dude. He's the star of like Chicago Police. He's the guy with the voice. He's got a voice like this. But yeah, he was like a big male model in the 1980s before he became an actor. And he's running around with JFK Jr. and our birthday boy today, David Duchovny. I like this dude. He was so funny. He was so funny on Californication, the show I was telling you about. If you haven't seen Californication, highly recommend it. And as I said, I'm about to start a re-binge of that. I've watched it twice now. I watched it as it aired, episodically. And it was just like, God, this is the funny. That was a time, boy, when Showtime had Weeds and Californication. Wow. I mean, everybody likes to think that HBO was the one that led the charge. They had good shows on Showtime too. Homeland was really good. What else did they have? Billions was really good. There's, because Ray Donovan, wasn't that also Showtime? That was really good. But Weeds and Californication are two of the best 30-minute grown-up situation comedies that you could ever see. Happy birthday, David Duchovny, star of Californication, born on this day in 1960. Born on this day in 1975, Charlize Theron. Why did I make Charlize Theron Mexican? She's not. She's South African. And legendarily beautiful. Born on this day in 1975. Born on this day in 1989, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is a member of the Sacramento Kings, but he is on my list of my 5 favorite Chicago Bulls of all time. DeMar DeRozan is look, if you're a Sacramento Kings fan, look, we're sorry he had to go, but he doesn't need this bullshit that's happening with a semi-rebuild with the Chicago Bulls. So we're sorry he had to go. This dude is one of the best teammates, one of the most consistent players. I was really hoping he would go to the Mavs. I don't know where he'd fit in with the Mavs, but he'd get a lot of playing time. Such a great leader. Such an incredible team captain. DeMar DeRozan, born on this day in 1989. A good person. I'll give you an example. DeMar DeRozan, Ayo DeSumo was a rookie on the Chicago Bulls basketball team that DeMar DeRozan was the leader of, the veteran leader of. Ayo DeSumo went to the University of Illinois, and he was their all-time scoring leader. And the University of Illinois, which is about 250 miles away from where the Chicago Bulls play, Ayo DeSumo, on an off day for the Bulls, a Tuesday night during the Illini basketball season, was honored, and they retired his number down there and all that good stuff. So Ayo DeSumo had to get in his car and drive with his family all the way down to Champaign-Urbana on a Tuesday night when the Bulls were off practice that day and watch his jersey get retired. DeMar DeRozan just surprised him just on the spur of the moment, just went, and showed up, just got in his car and showed up for the rookie, an NBA veteran, an NBA star, a man of respect in the league, a made man in the league, if you will. That's the kind of leadership, because he wanted this rookie who was probably scared shitless about the NFL, playing in his hometown, by the way. He's just an amazing guy. There are endless stories of shit that DeMar DeRozan did that just say he's a good dude. He is a good teammate who cares about his people. Happy birthday tomorrow. Born on this day in 1989. Born on this day in 1998, Jalen Hurts. Oh, wait a second. I skipped over one. Born on this day in 1997, Kyler Murray. Isn't he from Allen? The All-Star League that my kid played in as a little kid was a league that young Kyler Murray had played in. Anyway. Okay, so who's better? Who you taking? You got one quarterback. You give Kyler Murray, currently with the Arizona Cardinals, poised for what we're hoping is a big comeback season. Or you got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, a guy who, if you believe NFL rumors of the day, doesn't get along with his head coach. Jalen Hurts, who a couple of years ago was an MVP candidate. Did he win the MVP? He didn't win the MVP. Jalen Hurts? No. Who you taking? Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. I'll let the chat room tell you. I'm taking Jalen Hurts. I have always taken Jalen Hurts. I took Jalen Hurts over Tua. I don't know if you remember back in college, Jalen Hurts was the starter down there in Alabama, and then Tua got healthy again. And didn't Jalen win a national championship? Jalen Hurts won a national championship down there at Alabama, and then the next year wasn't the starting quarterback. So, yeah, he went to Oklahoma State. He said, fuck you, man. What more do I have to do to retain my job? And then he got into the league, and I think he's outperforming. He's certainly outperformed Tua as far as, skins on the wall by means of, playoff wins and all that kind of stuff. Tua has definitely Jalen has definitely outperformed Tua. Has he outperformed Kyler? I'm not sold on Kyler. I'm not sold on the little tiny, even though I got one. I got a quarterback who's not that big. I don't know. All right. Anyway, there you go. Jalen Hurts, happy birthday. I am taking you over Kyler Murray, who is also celebrating a birthday. Kyler Murray, born on this day in 97. Jalen Hurts, born on this day in 98. All right, let's do the dead people. These are people who've died on this day. Let's talk about whether or not they went to heaven or went to hell. It is quarter 3. Here we go. The dead. Sweet, what is it? Anthony Sabato Jr.'s birthday? Am I not mentioning Anthony Sabato Jr.? Wait, what's going on here? Are you guys talking about Chicago PD? I've never seen an episode of that. I've dealt with too many real Chicago PD to see some fictionalized version of what they're like. I promise you, they ain't like the way they really are. My son was making jokes about that. He was talking about we watch a lot of body cam videos. And he talks about how it doesn't seem like Chicago police can be bothered with anything short of murder. And he's right. Just blow a red light in front of a Chicago cop. He's going to shake his head at you. You're like, what the fuck, man? Any minute now, there's going to be a shooting and I got to respond. So I'm not going to waste my time chasing you, but come on, a little respect. I once had a Chicago cop scream at me about being from the suburbs. It was an intersection. The light had changed, and I was blocking the intersection because there was traffic up ahead. So I'm in the middle of the intersection, and cars are trying to come. And the cop walks over, and I had my window down, and the cop looks at me, and she goes, "You need to stay in the suburbs." And she walked away. I'm like, uh-oh. I don't know. I've never seen Chicago PD. All right, let's go. Here are people who died. People who died, did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? 1957, the world lost Oliver Hardy. He is, of course, Laurel and Hardy. Oliver Hardy. I tried to watch, they made a movie a couple of years back. Looked like a really good documentary about Laurel and Hardy. It was set on Oliver Hardy's deathbed, and Stan Laurel was coming to hang out with him in his last hours. And the whole movie was, I guess, and I'll explain why I'm guessing, I guess it was about flashbacks as they sat there, these two old guys. I was very excited. I'm like, this sounds like something I'd be real interested in. And like 10 minutes in, I'm like, well, I just don't like this at all. I don't even know what I'm watching here. I can't relate. Anyway, I'm going to put Oliver Hardy. He was the big fat one. He's going to hell. Come on. There's probably silent film stars. Have you ever heard the stories about the craziness they were getting into? Google search Fatty Arbuckle. He was like one of their best pals. So I don't know. I'm going to put Oliver Hardy in hell. Dead on this day in 2005, Peter Jennings. Now, I said the other day, I go, the last news guy that I remember who just seemed to me, as somebody who didn't have one way or the other, although now he was probably accused of it, sure. But Peter Jennings, I like Peter Jennings. It was like Peter Jennings was closer to Walter Cronkite than he was Sean Hannity, right? And now I would argue that most people who are on the air now giving us news are closer to Sean Hannity. And by that, what I mean is opinion masquerading as information, which is the blurred line that we now have and we all freely accept and are totally comfortable with, because as long as the line is blurred and it's saying things that I like to hear, I will pick and choose the news services who deliver information to me. That's dangerous. It should be a boring person just saying stuff, statistics or whatever. It's too many agendas. Anyway, Peter Jennings died on this day. Peter Jennings is a Canadian who never even graduated high school, and he became one of the most trusted dispensers of information in the United States. He's dead, though. He died. Probably going to hell because he's media, so let's just get that over with. Dead on this day in 2008, Bernie Brillstein. You guys know who Bernie Brillstein is? He was like a god of comedy. I'm going to put him in. He's a Hollywood manager and producer. He built his business as a producer, Bernie Brillstein did. Let me give you an example of this. He built his business as a manager, building the careers of stars. He would get them when they were unknown, and he would build them up. Now, on this journey, these stars would suddenly get larger influence over films, and that is how managers become super producers. Bernie Brillstein had the biggest comedy stars in the world under contract to him, so one of the deals is they only did the projects that Bernie Brillstein was comfortable with, and thus projects that Bernie was a producer on. So here is the filmography of Bernie Brillstein. Look at these movies that he produced. The Blues Brothers, Neighbors, Continental Divide, Dr. Detroit. So obviously he's involved with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd back then. Then he goes on Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd again. Ghostbusters, Summer Rental, Spies Like Us, Dragnet, Ghostbusters 2, all Dan Aykroyd. All right, so then he signs somebody else. He signs a couple of people. Signed to Adam Sandler and then Jim Carrey. And he got Happy Gilmore and the Cable Guy as producer credits. What else did he do? TV, Larry Sanders Show. He exec produced the Larry Sanders Show because he repped Gary Shandling. He exec produced The Muppet Show because he repped Jim Henson. He exec produced Alf because he, I guess, repped Alf. I don't know how that works. Anyway, Bernie Brillstein, he's going to hell because he was a Hollywood agent. But man, oh man, you want to talk about a guy who left a legacy, especially for Gen X and people who like comedy films. Bernie Brillstein, along with his partner Brad Gray, Brillstein Gray, two of the best. He's in hell though. Here we go. Dead on this day in 2021. Hold on, this is one we need to see pictures of to truly appreciate, because this is a woman who got famous for, I don't know that she was famous for being like a sex symbol, but the first time that I ever came to know her, good Lord, why does this happen? Hold on. There we go. All right. I'm trying to show you a good example. You know what? Now we'll just go through them. All right, it doesn't matter. All right. And by the way, this person dying, big surprise. I remember when it happened. I was like, oh no, how did she die? Ugh. There we go. I'll explain what I'm getting at. There you go. It's Marky Post. Marky Post. I mean, she wasn't a big name, but I think for us Gen Xers, Marky Post died in 2021. Marky Post was on Night Court. She was like the love interest, I guess. She was like a prosecutor, right? Wasn't she the prosecutor in Dan? John Larroquette, Dan Fielding, he was the defense guy, or was it the other way around? I'm not sure. I think it might have been the other way around now that I think about it. I think Dan might have been the prosecutor, and Marky Post might have been the kind of hot defense attorney who had this sort of will they, won't they relationship with Judge Harry Stone. That's where we first came to know her, I guess, on a large national. There she is. There she is. Look at her. That's her. That's her from that show. She was beautiful, right? She was beautiful. But do you guys remember her from The Fall Guy? She was the boss on The Fall Guy. Now, maybe some of us were distracted by Heather Thomas in the endless stream of bikinis that she appeared in during the Fall Guy run. Fall Guy was they made it into a movie last year, didn't they? Didn't they make a new movie, Fall Guy? It was Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man, the Bionic Man. He was a stunt man, Colt Seaver. And he was also, because apparently just being a high-end Hollywood stuntman doesn't pay the bills, he also ran what appears to be a very successful private investigator agency. And Colt Seaver, the stuntman, the fall guy, if you will, would go out there and he'd solve crimes. But he was put on these crimes by a boss. And that boss was Marky Post. You know how like the Angels had Charlie? Well, she was kind of like, and she was super hot. And I remember as like a 10, 11, 12-year-old going, man, I'm totally into the boss more than I am into Heather Thomas. Let me see if we got some Fall Guy pictures of her. There was one, she was at the beach. It was totally gratuitous 1980s, but Marky Post was like at the beach wearing a bikini, and the whole scene was her like talking to Colt while in a bikini and telling him, I've got a job for you. And I'm like, why is she in a bikini? Anyway, she was super hot. Marky Post, she's dead. I'm putting her in heaven. I'm putting Marky goddamn right up. I don't care if she's an actress, and the most actresses are, already leaning towards hell. I'm putting her in heaven, Marky Post. Dead on This Day. Here's another one. Dead on This Day in 2023. William Friedkin, film director. I would do a William Friedkin draft, but I just think it's more interesting to talk about this aspect of his career. William Friedkin did a whole bunch of great movies. He did I think 5 or 6 Academy Awards. He did The French Connection. He did The Boys in the Band. But most famously, the William Friedkin, most famously, To Live and Die in L.A. Oh, I love that movie. That is such a cool movie, To Live and Die in L.A. But he most famously did The Exorcist. So, of course, he's going to hell. How do you write? William Friedkin does directing The Exorcist, does writing a screenplay for and directing The Exorcist. Did he write the screenplay? Yeah, because it was from a book and he adapted it. I don't know, whatever. He directed it. Does that mean you're going to hell, or does it mean you're definitely not going to hell? Because you're like, I don't know. I'm putting him in hell, though. William Friedkin. Great director. Died on this day in 2023. French Connection and To Live and Die in L.A., man. Those are, if we were doing a William Friedkin draft, I don't know. You know what? I think I might put To Live and Die in L.A. first. That was a cool movie. That was the movie. Wasn't that movie? Why does that movie seem so Michael Mann? Did Michael Mann write the screenplay for that? Now I got to look up To Live and Die in L.A. All right. Hold on. No. This is how we get distracted. This is why you don't have a job on actual radio where time is money. Me chasing rabbits. Let's see here. Barney says Hearts of Fire totally holds up. Al says, wasn't she a lesbian? Marky Post? Are we talking about Marky Post? Is Marky Post a lesbian? A lesbian. Let's see. Hold on. Here's how I would look into that. I'm just going to go to her Wikipedia page, and then I'll go to her personal life. That's where they always get outed. Personal lives of Wikipedia pages. All right, let's see here. Personal life. Post was married first to Stephen Knox, whom she met at Lewis and Clark College. She later married actor and writer Michael A. Ross, with whom she has 2 daughters. Nope, not gay, not a lesbian. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad. I don't know. I think that, you know what it is? All right, here's how you got to break that down. Is it good news or bad news to learn that Marky Post is not a lesbian? Okay. I think it doesn't matter. Like if you were going to be like, oh, it's good news because I still got a shot with her. No, you don't. That's not part of this scenario. You don't have a shot with her because she's not a lesbian. But because your relationship with Marky Post is probably going to be a fantasy, does the knowledge that she's now a lesbian change that metric? I think it does. So therefore, I think it's a negative that she's not a lesbian. Although I could probably, in my mind, work in that she's bi-curious. We don't have any proof that she's not bi-curious. All right. Marky Post. I liked her. I shouldn't be. That's terrible. She died young and she died beautiful. My point is this. She was really hot on the Fall Guy. I don't think anybody ever noticed. I don't think anybody was like, wow, she's pretty hot. All right, moving on. Let's keep going here. Is that it for Deads? William Friedkin, Marky Post? Yep, that's it for Deads. All right, folks, we are done with the first 3 quarters of today's show. It is time now for me to be incredibly unhinged. I'm going to go off on some stuff. The last couple of days I've been like, you know what? I'm just going to lean into this now. I mean, the show's a loser. Why not just lean into it, right? I would like to remind you to please help out the show in any way you can. Drop something into the Venmo or the Cash App. All right, let's get started. Iran, Iraq. We're still waiting for a war to start there. I don't really know. I don't know. It's been 2 days now. I also spent a couple of hours, not a couple of hours because Bears Hard Knocks was on, but I did spend the hour lead up to Bears Hard Knocks watching my boy Steve Lookner on Agenda Free TV, the only source for breaking news that you should be relying on. This dude gets all the breaking news with all of the real important information. And by that, I mean live police scanners. You're listening to what the cops on the scene are saying to each other. He's got all the unencrypted stuff. I mean, he's just good. So he's doing this thing every night over there at Agenda Free TV. He's doing this thing every night where he's just got a camera. He's like paying for everything he does is so legit. He's such a legit amateur journalist. He's paying Reuters like a subscription fee to be able to use their cameras without any kind of issues with YouTube. I'm an outlaw. I'm a YouTube outlaw because we are broke. And around here, we just say, well, let's just try it. And then maybe. Actually, that's not true at all. That's not true. I'm not a YouTube outlaw because I have the best YouTube defense lawyer on the planet. My channel on YouTube is fine, and that's because of Ed. Ed goes to battle with YouTube over every strike that they attempt to put on this show for content or, whatever, stealing music. Ed makes these cases and he wins. Ed knows what he's doing. I love it. He stopped doing it, but he used to send me the email responses from them whenever he won a battle. Like if they muted a video or something, he'd get on them and he'd get a response where they unmute it and he'd be like, yeah, see, did another one. It's so every day now that he doesn't even do that. But man, that dude is good. But let's be honest, I'm not out here doing hate speech. I'm not out here doing horrible things, right? I'm just a guy who's often wrong and very loud about his opinions. That's all. But I don't think I'm a mean guy who's often wrong. I don't know. All right, let's keep going. Iran, Iraq, nothing's happening. Been watching this guy now. 2 days, Lookner. I'll be watching again tonight probably. I don't know. We're waiting to see a response from Iran because the supreme leader in Iran has vowed to retaliate militarily against Israel because Israel dropped some missiles inside Iran when they were trying to kill the political leader of Hamas 2 weeks ago. What happened first was Hezbollah, which is a militia group who uses Iranian-made military equipment funded by Iran. Hezbollah blew up a soccer field, killing a whole bunch of Israeli kids. In response, the Israeli military conducted this airstrike inside Iran against the Hamas political leader. That is what made the supreme leader of Iran declare, I will, retaliate. We will retaliate. So that is what we're waiting on. Details, ... All right, let's keep going. The second big thing was yesterday was Tim Walz Day. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. He is now the bottom half of the Kamala Harris ticket for president of these here United States. Tim Walz had a good day. Now let's see. We already got the stolen valor. I don't know. The JD Vance is accusing him of stolen valor. I don't know, man. I saw Tim. I didn't know. We didn't know who Tim Waltz was. I had heard of him over the last couple of weeks. Here's one of the guys who's named as on the short list, Tim Waltz. And I'm like, yeah, I think I heard of that guy. With Minnesota, something like that. So that was it. I wasn't familiar with him. Couldn't have picked him out of a lineup. Didn't know what he was like. Didn't know what his personality was like. So he comes out yesterday. I saw the rally in Philadelphia. By the way, what a in your face to Josh Shapiro. We're going to show the guy. You're going to host us in your beautiful city of Philadelphia. He's the governor of Pennsylvania. You're going to host us in your beautiful state, in your beautiful city of Philadelphia. And then I'm going to introduce the dude I picked over you. That'd be like a girl. That'd be like a girl who thought she was going to get proposed to, throwing a party, and then like the person that she wanted to marry showing up with the person they actually proposed to. That was... Hey, but it seems to be okay because Josh Shapiro came out in his speech. Boy, his speech is why I wanted him to be picked. I want this guy to be picked. I want a black lady and I want a Jew. I want just people who have never been in the big chairs before. Let's see what's going to happen. Come on, roll the dice. I don't want to burn it all down like some of you weirdos, but I do want to see a little bit of change in business as usual. And yeah, maybe we'll get that. Who knows? Maybe we won't. It's only 4 years. I'm not voting for him anyway. Had that conversation with my son yesterday. He's like, why do you say you're not going to vote? I go, and I almost said, it's all rigged, but I didn't want to do that because that plays into some bullshit narrative that one crazy side of this whole nonsense has been pushing. So I was just like, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. And then I yelled at my son. I said, we don't talk politics because we don't. I don't like to talk politics. I don't like to talk politics ever. I certainly don't like to talk it with my 15-year-old son. Anyway, I don't know, man. He came out there, Shapiro. He seemed totally cool with being snubbed. And then Kamala came out, and I'm watching Kamala, and I'm like, here's Kamala's problem. And maybe this is why they chose Tim Waltz. This is also Donald Trump and JD Vance's problem. They're not normal people. Kamala Harris is a big phony. She's a politician. Doesn't mean that she's a terrible person or that she shouldn't be president or that she's going to be a worse president than any of the other options we've had these past few years. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is she's not a normal person. She forces energy. She forces enthusiasm. She steps out there and she makes her speech like somebody who is being fake. And she just can't get over that because she's just naturally doing that. I mean, if she came out and she was the way she is when she's, in her office and, she's talking to people, I don't know, maybe she's too aggressive and they think she has a permanent smile. Everything is, and her hands are always going. That's not normal. I mean, again, JD Vance ain't normal. And Donald Trump sure as shit ain't normal. 90-year-old man spray painted orange with blonde shock hair on top. That ain't fucking normal either. He's a weirdo of the highest order. But so is she. And I'm watching that last night and I'm like, ugh. Introduce the dude, man. You're going on and on. And it's all over amplified with her. Everything is. And it just seems phony to me. Doesn't ring authentic. Then she introduces Tim Waltz. That son of a bitch rings authentic. Can we flip up this thing? Where did this guy come from? Why wasn't this guy talked about as being at the top of the ticket? Well, because I guess the Dems can't have a white guy on top of the ticket anymore. That's never happening again. We let it happen one more time with Biden, and look how that ended up, right? So he's great. He's great. I didn't know anything about this dude. This dude's cool. You're going to have a very difficult time. I like to play these strategists for both sides, but they're going to have a really difficult time on the right or MAGA in general of finding something that's going to stick on him. I don't know. First of all, he must have been vetted to hell and back. And I just, his personal biography is just, he is going to resonate with people that you did not think Kamala Harris was going to have a shot in the hell of resonating with. So that's good. And that's why they picked him, I guess. But there was a much bigger reason for why they picked him. And it's not the one that's going around. Although the one that's going around is not wrong. Josh Shapiro was not picked because in part, because he's Jewish. Well, that is absolutely one of the reasons that he was not picked. But he was also not picked because he represents a big East Coast city, and that's not really a place where Kamala thinks she's got problems. They think that they're going to win Pennsylvania without having to add Josh Shapiro to the ticket. Where they want to be competitive is in the Midwest and the Sun Belt. And that is where a guy like Tim Walz from Nebraska, a farm boy, a plain-spoken farm boy from Nebraska who goes on to be a football coach and a social studies teacher for decades in Minnesota, who then decides, I'm going to get involved. The call to action that we all hear, get involved. Well, he did. He did the same way Marjorie Taylor Greene did, the same way that Lorena Boebert did or AOC did. He did it. And the people liked him. People liked him. He was able to win. This is another thing why he was chosen. He has a track record of winning over people that would never in a million years vote for a Democrat. He is the first guy, we went over this yesterday, he's the first guy to win his district as a Democrat. It had been a Republican stronghold right there on the Iowa-Minnesota border. So that is something, and again, speaking as a strategist, that is something that is very appealing to the Harris campaign. Somebody like him. Could Josh Shapiro, the Philadelphia East Coast Ivy League Jewish guy, could he walk into some place in Nebraska or Montana or something and possibly steal a few votes? I don't think so. And that's what they didn't think. But here's the real reason that I think they went with Walz. And we saw that yesterday. We saw from Josh Shapiro, we saw both guys make speeches. They were very different kinds of speeches. And I understand why one is the vice president and the other one is just a governor of a major state who's probably going to have a very influential role in this administration should it be elected. That's Josh Shapiro. I'll probably end up being Secretary of State or something like that. He'll be a cabinet guy if he wants it. He may want to just stay there in Pennsylvania as governor. But we saw their very different styles. And I think this is the primary reason that they went with Tim Walz over Josh Shapiro. One, he's not another minority, okay? So the balanced ticket thing, like, we want to appeal to people who vote on the kind of race. So he checked that box, right? He's also a guy who has proven that he can win in Republican districts and win consistently. When he was reelected 5 times to Congress in a Republican district that has since flipped back to Republican now that he's gone. I mean, that says something. But he's also comfortable being a second. And when you watch the Josh Shapiro speech, that dude's top of the ticket. Same thing I said about Andy Beshear. Why I think Andy Beshear was never considered. Because when Andy Beshear takes his crack at it, if he does, he's going to take his crack at the top, as the top of the ticket. Same thing for Shapiro. Shapiro probably wants now somewhere in the back of his head for Kamala and Walz to lose and a Republican to come in so that he can be the Democrat next time. And I think the Kamala Harris campaign, they looked at Shapiro and they went, ooh, he ain't going to be a good second. He's going to overshadow her. He is going to not only overshadow her, possibly naturally, because Josh Shapiro can make a speech. And as we saw Josh Shapiro, killer speech yesterday. Kamala Harris, I told you, it seemed so fake. And then we had Tim Walz, who gave another speech about, in a different way, folksier, more homespun. Josh Shapiro seems like an angry East Coast Jewish lawyer. That doesn't really resonate. That's what he came off. Now, that also seems like a leader. If we're in the business of looking for someone like that, that seems like, that's why I say head of the ticket. Tim Walz came out like, the teacher that 10 years after your kid graduates from high school, the parents go, whatever happened to Coach Walz? He came off like a Norman Rockwell figure, which, by the way, when you cut that against Trump's VP with his Ivy League his book that trashed poor people. That's a Hillbilly Elegy was a book about how awful it is to be poor. Trashing those people. He got out of there as quick as he could. He went to the Ivy League. He then went and took money from a bunch of venture capitalists in San Francisco, worked in Silicon Valley, and did that whole awful thing. Well, it's not what the other guy did. The other guy that he's arguing against, the other guy that they're putting both of these vice presidents in front of the American people and saying, which one would you rather go hang out with? Which one would you trust with your family's finances? This guy who wears mascara and used to say the guy he's now pledged his life to, used to call him a Nazi. And do you trust that guy? Or do you trust the social studies teacher who was a football coach? I'm telling you, this is about brand narrative, people. These are not my opinions. This is simply what I'm saying. The average person is going to have to weigh, not you. Some of you may already be bought and paid for or pledging allegiance to one party over the other for the rest of your life. There's a lot of people who are like that, regardless of how the landscape changes or how the candidates and personalities themselves change. You are never going to vote for the other side, and that's okay. But man, for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people in this country who over the course of the last 10 years or so have been like, I don't have a home anywhere. I don't feel like there is any party that represents who I am. To people like that, a guy like Tim Walz resonates because they're like, that's a good dude. J.D. Vance is weird. He gets up and all he does is yell things. All that side does, honestly, Trump and Vance, is get up and go, here's what you need to be mad about. And with Trump, it's all, here's what they're trying to do to me. I'm the best of all time. And they're so mean to me. And they're doing all this. It's all grievance and bullshit. And then you get like this Waltz dude out there. It's not grievances. It's about who we are and what we can be. And you know what? Make America great again. Fuck you. America is fucking great, you piece of shit. I hate those fucking hats. And I hate that so many of you people fucking hate America. See, I told you it was going to be a little unhinged. America is great. America always has great. We are a work in progress. We're only 200 years old, okay? Growing pains. Last I checked, we're still the world's biggest and most powerful economy and military. So fuck you, people who fucking shitting on America. That's all that party is. It's a party of coddling people who have long established themselves as enemies of this country, who want nothing more than all of us to just die in a nuclear hellfire. But no, it's coddling Putin on that side. It's coddling fucking Kim in North Korea on that side. It's having Xi over to Mar-a-Lago and talking about how he was really interested in the cake and we're really good friends and going through documents in the open. Come on. No other president, Obama wouldn't step across the line in North Korea to shake hands with the... Yeah, Obama wouldn't fucking do that because that's an insult. That is an insult to true American patriots who understand what North Korea has represented in that region for the last 50 years. But you dumb fucks who are just like, I'm tired of being scared of North Korea. North Korea doesn't have anything to get to us. You know who should be scared of North Korea is Japan. That's who should be scared. Stop it. Trump shook hands with him. That was the most statesmanly thing. No, it wasn't. It was an insult. The whole thing with Putin to a Cold War kid, a Gen X kid. Whole thing with, this guy, Putin. Putin isn't a freedom-loving capitalist who's going to change the way Russia's standing is in the world. Putin matriculated through the Soviet system. He was one of the top interrogators in the Soviet intelligence. And you think that just now he's going to love America? His entire mindset for the first 40 years of his life was that America is the enemy. But we're striking deals with him, and we got a president now saying that he believes that guy over the United States intelligence? Well, I don't know. Putin told me our intelligence was wrong. That's embarrassing. That's what the other side is. So forgive me. Forgive me if this Tim Waltz guy, what are they saying about him? Tampon Tim? Okay. Whatever, I don't fucking care about that. You put tampons in a bathroom, you can't be president. The other motherfucker's got like 50 convictions. You people aren't talking about that. He put tampons in a bathroom. He didn't want to be mean to a bunch of weird kids going through some very difficult things, and so he can't be president. Is that really what we're going with? Is it that he's coddling the trans element? Man, so what? Give it up. That's not a big news story. That is not a big thing. And if it's the biggest thing in your world, you're fucking dumb. You're just not fucking seeing what's happening in the world here. Most important thing in this world is getting America back on the fucking tracks. And I don't know if it's Kamala Harris. I know for a fucking cinch that it ain't Trump. Barney says football coaches teaching social studies is a big part of what's wrong with America. Oh no, see, that's how Barney in his poisoned mind chooses to see it. But see, we know what it really is. See, he didn't go to college to be a football coach. You see, he went to college to be a teacher of students, and his area of expertise is social studies. So he goes to a high school and he starts teaching social studies as his job. And then they say, boy, we could really use somebody to dedicate some more of their time with the football team. Is anybody interested? And that's how they become. You know what football coaches shouldn't be, Barney? They shouldn't be United States fucking senators. Dudes who have only been football coaches shouldn't be United States senators, Barney. So what are you saying here? Dude was a social studies teacher. The dude was a teacher. He also happened to coach football for a few years. But guess what? He did a lot more years than coach football. Teach social studies at the high school level. That's so unfair. Do you see how petty and weird those things are? Football coaches. I bet you were a card-carrying supporter of Tommy Tuberville when he was running against that. What was it? Wasn't it like remember that poor guy down there in Alabama who he was like the Democrat that they fed to the sharks because they had the dude that was running who was like chasing after girls in malls. Remember that Judge Roy pervert? And so that opened an opportunity for like a Democrat to be a senator in Alabama, and they just ignored him for 4 years, and then he was jettisoned. And then they went with a football coach, right? They went with a guy. Let's select a guy who's been, a mediocre football coach. We do live in a tribalistic society, Al. And we should be proud of our individual tribes instead of see, this is why I grew up in a place where you were absolutely not defined wholly, but certainly to an extent on where you're from. I grew up in a city whose neighborhoods were divided. There were Irish neighborhoods next to Polish neighborhoods, next to Greek neighborhoods, next to Mexican neighborhoods, next to a black neighborhood, next to a Jewish neighborhood. You'd meet somebody. Where'd you grow up? Oh, I grew up in this neighborhood. Oh, you're Jewish. Yeah. Oh, cool. We talked about it. I used to come down here. When I first moved to Texas, I was told instantly by somebody who was shocked when I went up to somebody and I said, what are you? Like inquiring as to what their heritage was. What? Why do you ask? Why would that? You can't say that. What? I'm like, what do you mean you can't say that? I'm a proud Irish American. And I have friends who are proud Polish Americans and friends who are proud Mexican Americans. That's the whole goddamn point of this country. We are tribal. Being tribal doesn't necessarily mean that you're a fucking asshole. Being tribal means, hey man, these are my people. This is where I come from. This is the food I like to eat. These are the music I like to dance. Doesn't mean that the next tribe over is the tribe you need to be going to war with all the time. That is the problem with our tribalistic mentality. It isn't that we're tribal. It's that we're assholes. So let's just stop being assholes. Roy Moore. That's him. Judge Roy Moore. Jeff says 51 current and former intelligence officers did sign a letter saying the Hunter laptop was a Russian hoax, so they're not really credible either. All right. Hunter's laptop. Okay. All right. Hunter's laptop. That's the big crime. Hunter's laptop. Of all the political, it's the ne'er-do-well son of a guy who's not even running anymore. We're still going to, actually, that's not fair because you're not using that in that context. You're not saying that Hunter's laptop is relevant to today's situation. What you're saying is that that's why you don't believe intelligence agents. Yeah, so you would immediately still, because of that, now you just believe Putin because he seems like a good guy. Putin, yes, there are problems probably deeply within our intelligence agency. But to just go, I don't know, I don't believe our agency. I totally believe this guy. Come on, man. And I'm not moving the goalpost there. It's the same thing. It's the idea that he would take the word of a guy who everyone with a brain knows hates this fucking country. I don't know. He's looking to make deals. He's looking to make personal deals. You'll see this. You will see this. Here's a prediction that I am going to say now. Mark my words. I've been saying this other prediction for a couple of weeks. I don't think he's going to run. I think he's going to get out. I think that there is going to be so much money. I think she could be up 10 points in October. And once they start pulling away, it's going to become a very real situation for Trump where he's going to have to consider the fact that he could die in prison. Because ain't none of these people just going to pardon him. No, he's going to get sentenced. All of these other cases are going to move forward. That's why he so desperately wants to be president, so that he can avoid prison, so that he could use the elected office to somehow benefit himself like he seems to always do. Yet you guys just keep carrying water for this con man, thinking he's a great American. This is the medicine man. This is the carpetbagger coming down to the South. And you know what the carpetbagging dude is? That's what he's doing. His audiences at his rallies, you people who buy the hats, you people who endlessly chuck stones at anybody who says anything against this guy, you people are just reliving the old, hey, if I got a deal for you folks. The fast-talking, big city rich guy who's the people in his audience. The people that vote for him are people that he would not allow in the lobby of the Trump casino back in the 90s. He had rules about trash. And these are all the people now who think he's one of them. He's fooling you. He's lying and you don't see it. All right, let's keep going. What else do we have? Anyway, Tim Walz was introduced to the people yesterday. And I don't know, I think he came off well, but whatever, we'll see. Polls. Do we even want to do this now? All right, let's see here. I wanted to look at this. This shows you how the momentum has shifted. All right, I'm going to show you all of the major polls. We will start on Tuesday, July 30th. Okay, so it's Tuesday, July 30th until now. Watch this. You can actually see where momentum changed. All right, here we go. All right, the first one we're going to look at right here on the bottom is the Tuesday, July 30th general election, Trump versus Harris. Trump was up by 4. This was July 30th. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fast forward, and you're going to look on this side right here. See where it's red, and then it's blue and blue? You're going to see it go. These are who's winning the polls. You're going to see it change from red to blue. You will see literally where the momentum shifted. So here we go. Let's start it out. Back in Tuesday, July 30th, Trump won that poll. Here on this day's polls, we got 1, 2, blue, and then 1, 2, 3, red, blue, red, blue, red. He's running away with it. Is this after he was shot? Yes, probably August 1st after he was shot. Red, blue, red. And here's the shift. Blue, plus 12. Oh, that's a 4-person race. Blue. And today, general election, Trump versus Harris versus Kennedy versus Stein. I hate these ones. I only want the ones that have the one-on-ones. Anyway, the crowded field, Harris wins by 2. Here you go. General election head-to-head. This was yesterday's NPR Marist. This is one of the major polls. Harris plus 3 now. They were getting cooked 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you, man, I'm thinking Trump is going to leave the country. He is going to bail, and he is going to leave the country, and he is going to live in Saudi Arabia to avoid any kind of prosecution, and he will be one of these weird Tommy Robinson types who from wherever in the world he wants to live, he will still sow dissension here in America because at this point, it's long been about his ego and nothing else. He's a patriot. Yeah, patriots fuck flags. Patriots are that performative with the flag. Hey, I love the flag. He panders to you people, and you don't even see it. It's so absurd. Barney says, had to actually work for a bit. Well, you're best that you left, Barney. You wouldn't have wanted to hear anything that I had to say there. Chuck says, had to tip the show after that, Rant. Look, you people, I hope that over the last, I'm not a fucking libtard, okay? I'm not a libtard. I'm also not a fascist, you know? Socially, I don't give a shit what you do as long as you don't bother me, okay? But here's what I do. I like to see myself as a bully buster. If I see a group of people being picked on for some unnecessary reason by a bunch of small-minded fools who have nothing better to do than to just be mean to someone, yeah, I get involved. And that's what I see. A lot going on now. You people, what are people from like, there was this church group in Louisville a couple of weeks ago who came down to a school, or not a school. God, okay, that might be a problem. Who came down to a bar down here in the Design District a couple of weeks ago. It was a whole church group from Louisville. They came down here to cause ruckus because there was some drag queen thing going on at some bar in the Design District where it's all artists and weirdos, and they came from Louisville. They like, this isn't like, oh, it's so terrible. I step outside my house and the drag queens are everywhere. They came down to the Design District to show how it's everywhere. No, you've never been here before. This is not an area. What's the point of that? You want to sit in your house in Louisville and you want to be like, I hate all the drag queens and all. But to actually then like come down here to be closer to them so that you can hate them more to their face, that's just unnecessary. It would be different if it was like, happening at some breakfast joint in Louisville. That'd be fine. But I was like, why is that? But Louisville First Baptist or whatever it was the bus had it right there and they were all carrying their signs. And I'm driving by. Like, what the hell is that? Why did they come all the way down here to be offended? I thought they were offended by these people. Don't they want to stay away? They got in a car and drove 40 minutes. That's what I fight against. That's what I rail against. You want to be hateful, that's fine. Just don't bring it in these streets. Don't bring it in these streets and use your hate to make somebody feel bad who isn't even fucking dealing with you. They have nothing to do with you. I just hate that you exist, and I think that I have a right to exist more so than you, so I'm going to be mean. Oh, stop it. There's too much of that going on. All right, here's a big story that we saw. SNL. Who is SNL going to get? We know that SNL is probably going to use James Austin, whatever that dude is. He's so funny. The guy who does Trump. That guy is so funny. That guy's going to be James Austin Green, something like that. He's great. He's going to do Trump. And then, of course, everybody's pleased. Like I said, the only thing that I like about this Kamala thing, I go on record. I've been on record I didn't want Kamala at the top. If Biden was going to step down, I wanted somebody else. But okay, here we are, whatever. They made their decision. They didn't listen to me, but okay. And it looks like they're going to be fine, as we just went through the polls. So they got Maya Rudolph as Kamala. Good. It's the good thing about Kamala Harris being front and center, more work for Maya Rudolph. But who's going to be playing the vice presidents? Who's going to be taking on the roles of vice president? So there's a couple of people who have been floated as being in the running, according to people in the know at Saturday Night Live. The Waltz pick. Who is going to be playing Tim Waltz? Here's a really good one. The one that they think has already agreed to do it is Jim Gaffigan. That could be really good. A fan vote suggested they bring back Jason Sudeikis. I don't know if I see that one. Besides, if you're going to bring back Jason Sudeikis for something in this election cycle, it's got to be as Biden. Sudeikis was the funniest Biden, so he's got to be brought back for that. I like Jim Gaffigan, huh? Also, another name that has been floated for the role of Tim Waltz, Al Franken, former Minnesota senator and Saturday Night Live cast member Al Franken. I don't see it. The one that took hold yesterday online with fans, Steve Martin. There you go. I think Steve Martin isn't dad bod-ish. I think Steve Martin is tall and thin, and I don't know that he's going to work for this guy. I really like, if Richard Dreyfuss was like 10 years younger, I'd say that dude looks like Richard Dreyfuss. But I can see Jim Gaffigan. I think Jim Gaffigan could be the good one. There you go. All right, so what about What about J.D. Vance? That's right. Who's going to play J.D. Vance? Well, there's a good chance that they could cast a woman to play J.D. Vance because of the mascara. So that's a wild card that they're saying. They're saying that this very well could be another opportunity for Melissa McCarthy to play another character. If you remember, she so famously portrayed the White House spokesman, can't remember his name, Sean Spicer. And that was great. She was really funny as Sean Spicer. So they're saying she may come back as J.D. Vance. And if she doesn't, the one that the Saturday Night Live source is supposedly quoted as saying is who they're advocating for is Zach Galifianakis. Zach Galifianakis as J.D. Vance. I like that one. I also like the idea of Melissa McCarthy coming back to play J.D. Vance. I think that's funny. All right, there you have it. We did the polls. We did all that. Yes. The Dems are anti-Semitic. This is an attack line that's been going on since they decided not to choose Josh Shapiro. They didn't choose the argument that came out of MAGA. Again, they're trying attacks to see what sticks. Nothing has stuck. Nothing is stuck. Most incredibly, their first attack has blown back on them and stuck to them. You know, I'm rubber, you're glue. Well, the weird thing started out as them saying, I don't know, man, Kamala's kind of weird. And then the entire country went, wait a second. She might be strange. And yeah, there might be some weird here, but you guys are in no position to be calling anybody weird. And that imploded. So now they're weird. They've tried a number of other attack lines, a number of other questioning her race. That didn't work either. That was bad. So now the new one yesterday is they didn't choose Josh Shapiro because the Democrats are the party of anti-Semitism, not the Republicans, the Democrats. To which I don't know who it was, but it was somebody who said this. It was one of these panels. It was after the speech in Philadelphia yesterday. One of these big networks. It was CNN. I don't know who was there, though, because I don't watch CNN that much, but it was on. It was this panel, and somebody said after one of the anchors read Trump's response, which was, the Dems hate the Jews. They're anti-Semitic. That was the response. They said, President Trump is tweeting, or whatever he does. President Trump on his Truth Social says, blah, and then they read the thing. And some disembodied voice said, yeah, where are all the Republican Jews? Where exactly are all the... And I'm like, you know what? That's right. This is how bizarre this is. Trump and MAGA are like trying to make it seem like the Democratic Party are the ones that don't like Jews, when it's the Democratic Party that is the only one that elects Jews. Okay? There are 435 members of the United States Congress. There are 3 Jewish Republicans. There are 3 Jewish Republicans in the Congress. There's 23 Democratic Jewish people in the Congress. 26 total Jewish people in the Congress. The Democrats, who are the party who don't represent the Jewish people, are the only ones who, and by the way, this isn't just now, this has been historically. Historically speaking, Republicans don't elect anybody that isn't white. They've just recently gotten around to electing women, but they get 1 or 2 black guys. Want to do that? You want to say, the Democrats. Let's compare how many black elected people are in the Democratic Party in the United States Congress with the Republicans, if you think I'm wrong. The Republicans elect historically one type of person. But now for some reason, they're like, we're the ones that love the Jews. You have 3 Jews in the entire Congress. You've got 3. The other people have 23. And let's turn our attention now to the fucking Senate, where you have none. None. You accusing the other party if they're the party of the anti-Semite. They got 9, or at least I think historically in the last. Let me see. I got this. I got this written down. Oh yeah, I pulled it right from the House of Representatives thing. Here we go. This is a list of Jewish members of the United States Congress as of 2023. So this was 2023. There are 9 Jewish senators and 26 Jewish members of the House of Representatives serving in the United States Congress. Of those, let's see here, blah, 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 all but 3 in the Congress are members of the Democratic Party. And of the senators, all but Bernie Sanders, who caucuses with the Democrats but is an independent. They're anti-Semites for not making a Jew on their vice presidential ticket. They're anti-Semites. Meanwhile, you guys have never elected a Jew to anything. At least not Senate-wise, certainly not at the top of your ticket. So stop it. Project much. You're the guys who people who vote for you, people who fight for you. You're the guys who had those people marching in the streets screaming, Jews will not replace us. But no, it's the other people. They're the ones who are the anti-Semites. Stop it. This doesn't play. It's such a desperately gross narrative that is just going to whiff. Why? Because Trump doesn't know how to fight Kamala Harris. I've been saying this since the beginning. He doesn't know how to fight black people. He knows how to fight wealthy white guys who went to Ivy League colleges in boardrooms in Manhattan. He knows how to fucking disintegrate those people. Stream of consciousness. He gets in front of a black chick who doesn't work for him, who's like, let me tell you something, Mr. He doesn't know how to handle that. So let's see. Let's let it play out. So here are some Jews. Here are some famous, historic, political Jews of the last 20 or 25 years. William Cohen, he was Secretary of Defense under Bill Clinton. Carl Levin, powerful senator from Michigan. He's retired now. Joe Lieberman was actually a vice presidential candidate already from those anti-Semitic Democrats. Paul Wellstone, my favorite senator of all time, another one. Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, Chuck Schumer, the majority leader in the United States Senate is a Jewish man and he's a Democrat. Where is your equivalent in the Republican Party? And I only ask because you're standing on a soapbox saying that those guys are the anti-Semites. Do you see the madness that normal people are trying to navigate? And there's too many of you people who are just going, well, this is normal. I don't see anything wrong with it. Chuck Schumer, Al Franken, Bernie Sanders, as I said, he's an independent, but he certainly is more closer to being in line with the Democrats. Certainly the weird left wing of it. Richard Blumenthal, current high-ranking senator in the Democratic Party. And, of course, John Ossoff down there in Georgia. He's up for re-election. He's only there in his first time. So stop it with the Democrats being anti-Semitic. The Democrats actually elect Jews. They actually elect them. You don't. You don't even run them. You know why? Because you know the people you pander to don't want to vote for a Jew because they're the fucking anti-Semites. All right. We can move on. Thank you. Thank you. I'm telling you, man, I'm liking the new unhinged rants. And I'm sorry to people who, don't like somebody. Everything I am saying is coming from my heart. Everything that I'm saying is coming from a position of let's stop being assholes. And it's kind of crazy that I have to be an asshole to kind of make that point, but here we are. Debbie, let's talk about Debbie. There's some Hurricane Debbie. Hurricane Debbie wasn't really a hurricane, although it does seem to be a really inconvenient rainstorm that's causing all kinds of historic flooding everywhere. Nah, not everywhere. Just across Florida and all up the eastern seaboard. My buddy E, he's going to a horse race. One of his horses is running. He's got to fly to Richmond for some big horse race. One of his horses, like I said, I don't know enough details. It's just like, whatever. So he's going there and he's like, I may not be able to go to see my horse run this weekend because of the storm. So we'll track that, I guess. Flooding from Debbie. Let's see here. Oh, Musk, Elon Musk. Here's another weird guy. It's another guy. Musk is a great American. No, he's not. Musk is the... Same people are like, I hate the globalists. They're like carrying water for Elon Musk. I hate Musk is the very definition of a globalist. Musk was not even born in this country. Musk is a billionaire. If the entire continental United States fell into a sinkhole, do you think he'd be like, oh, I'm so sad, my country's gone? No, he's a billionaire. He'd go live somewhere else. Wouldn't miss a beat at all. He doesn't have any. None of these billionaires have the same kind of loyalty to this country. So anyway, he's a weirdo. And again, I've been consistently telling you that Elon Musk is a weirdo for years. So now he's doing something that's really weird, which means that he's just done with Twitter. Okay, so we know that Elon Musk bought Twitter because his ego demanded it, because the Twitter board wouldn't sell to him. And he's like, what do you mean you won't sell to me? And they're like, yeah, you're a dick. We don't want to put you in charge of this. And he's like, well, I'll pay you more money than you've ever seen. And so he way overpaid for Twitter. Ha ha. Everybody laughed at him. But well, at the time, he was the world's wealthiest man. So $46 billion for something that was probably evaluated at closer to 22. Isn't that what they said? 22? But he paid 46. And he took it over and he made the changes that he wanted to make. It's basically one of them situations where it's my ball. I'll do what I want. He was active on Twitter and he didn't like that, he wasn't able to be in charge of everything. So he bought it. He overpaid for it. Everybody laughed at him. He has been since trying to somehow make this thing an advertising juggernaut, but it hasn't occurred. If you remember last year, he was at some one-on-one, like some kind of tech talk or something. And he said, they basically said, fuck you to all the advertisers, which lo and behold had a really bad effect on the sales department. But that's his ego. Ego compels you to do things like that, when a good businessman would remain more in control and understand how this works. Advertisers spend money because they like you. Typically, you don't get people to like you by going, yeah, advertisers can go fuck themselves. So that caused this Linda Yakamoto, or whatever her name is, she's the actual president of Twitter, X, that forced her to go into damage control mode. And she was like, he didn't really mean that. Blah, blah, blah. This happens a lot when somebody says something and we all hear what they say, but then we get the apologists who are trying to explain that what we heard wasn't what we heard and that here's what we actually heard when that wasn't what was said. Yeah, we got that. So anyway, he made nice. He then went on the rounds. He's like, well, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. And he actually did that. And everything was good, except the advertisers didn't come back because he was so fuck you to the advertisers. It's like, yeah, you can apologize. We accept your advertising, or we accept your apology. Oh, okay. So you accept my apology. Does that mean that you'll come back as advertisers? And they're like, fuck no. You told us to fuck off. But I apologized. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So he didn't come back, which is why, my Twitter feed is filled with utility knives, super powerful flashlights, and a wide assortment of products offered by Cheech and Chong. That's all the advertising. I don't see any Ford advertising. I don't see any, Coca-Cola. I'm not seeing any major films being distributed or advertised. So the big money advertisers are staying away from Twitter. So what does weird Elon Musk do in this situation? Does he maybe go on the offensive and try and win them back because he's the richest man in the world? No, his ego dictates that he digs in even further. Elon Musk is suing the advertisers for not advertising on Twitter. He is claiming that they are boycotting that. Boycott. Advertisers don't boycott. Advertisers simply choose not to advertise with you because you're a dick. If that's the decision they made, that's not a boycott. Well, I mean, it is a boycott, but how is that illegal? It is not legally mandated that people advertise on Twitter. And yet he seems to think that that's, so here's the story. Let me give you this. X, owned by Elon Musk, brings antitrust suit accusing advertisers of an illegal boycott. X on Tuesday filed a lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, a coalition of major advertisers, claiming that it had violated antitrust laws by coordinating with brands to dissuade them from spending money on the social media platform. Yeah, that's what happens when you're an asshole, and when you get a reputation amongst your advertisers as being an asshole, they talk and they go, yeah, we pulled our ads from there because he's a dick. And then the people they say that to might pull. That's not illegal. You fucking whack job. And it doesn't matter because he'll just throw money at this suit and he'll feel good. It's like, oh, this is so dumb. The suit, filed in federal court in Texas, claims that the coalition known as GARM conspired with leading brands, including CVS, Unilever, and the Danish energy company Ørsted, to collectively withhold billions of dollars in advertising. Let's see here. Then known as Twitter in the wake of Elon Musk's takeover. The illegal behavior of these organizations and their executives cost X billions of dollars. Yes, it should cost you billions of dollars. If you have a product that relies on advertising, you have to suck some advertising dick. And you didn't do that. You said, fuck you to the advertisers. And I know as the richest man in the world, in the moment, you probably thought, what's the worst that could happen here? Well, I don't know if it's the worst, but it is certainly the expected result. Those people you told to fuck off stopped advertising and didn't come back after you apologized. And now you're trying to sue them for not liking you. You fucking bitch. Seriously, how many of these snowflake pearl clutching... I almost said a bad word. I almost said a bad word there. I almost said a bad word that was like a regular part of my vocabulary in 1984 when I was 14. All right, let's keep going here. What else do we have? Elon Musk suing the advertisers for not advertising. Oh, it's a little bit, I was being a bit reductive there. He's making all kinds of these horrible legal points. But really, that's what the judge is going to say. Hey, dude, you can't be mad at advertisers for not liking you and not spending their money on your platform. If they think your platform is a bad place and they don't want to be associated with your product, hey, or with their product, you're shit out of luck. Here's a fun story about the super rich. The super rich, see, this is what I mean. Not Americans. Super rich are not Americans. Do you know what the super rich are doing? They don't remember panic rooms? Remember how we had panic rooms? No. They've got super rich are now buying and building, let me get this right, luxury bunker compounds. Yeah, how about that? All right, let's check this out. This is a fun story. Operating theaters. So that these new compounds that they're building, they have operating theaters. What are these like super rich people? They don't love America. They're just going to hunker down and wait for the dust to settle with all their money. And then when everything's calm, they'll come back out and go, hey, we got all the money. Who wants the deal? Operating theaters. They're going to have operating theaters. So where are they going to get the doctor from? They have operating theaters, bowling alleys, and home cinemas. Not happy with just safe rooms, the super rich are building luxury fortresses. One of the world's leading high net worth design studios designed this London house with a cinema room complete with a reinforced door system to help residents lock down if needed. The firm says they are seeing a rise in requests. Okay, that's just one side story. Here's the actual story. Few things appear to soothe the existential anxieties of the super rich like a bunker designed to withstand anything short of a total nuclear Armageddon. Yet it is no longer enough for the security-conscious billionaire to stick an impenetrable safe room in the basement where it might sit empty forever. In today's uber-prime properties, bunkers have gone seriously upmarket and high-tech, in some cases growing to the extent that the whole homes are becoming 21st century fortresses. Here's a quote. We've seen a lot more of a focus on entertainment. Oh, isn't that great? Whole world is ending, and you guys are not sustaining, food or some sort of really focusing on the clean air system. Should there be poisoned air outside? No. The super rich, their number one concern is entertainment. If the world is falling, how about a window, motherfucker? Just install like a telescope, or what is it called, a periscope? Just do that in your bunker. You can just look at all the entertainment out there. No, they want entertainment. While the rest of us are like fighting zombies for like a piece of ham. I don't even know why I said ham. They're concerned about what's available to download. What movie can we watch in our bunker? We've seen a lot more focus on entertainment, said Al Corby, who's been at the forefront of secure luxury bunkers for 50 years. 50 years. Boy, I bet the first 40 were kind of slow. I bet you're doing bang up business now, but I bet the first 40 of these. Corby, who helped secure a 27 I can't read the story anymore. I just don't care. They're building giant luxury bunkers with movie theaters and, right next to the operating theater. Okay. Multiple theaters they got. Cool for them. Okay, hold on. Here we go. What else do we have? We did the Jewish members of Congress We did, let's see, what else do we have here? We did Musk sues Debbie flooding. Where's the story about my Mexicans? I had a story here about my Mexicans that I wanted to do. Where's my Mexican story? Where's my I had a great story. Hold on, let me find this. Snoop Dogg, we got that. The metal count, we got that. We're going to do metal count. Axios? Oh, here it is. Here we go. Okay. Where are my Mexicans at? All right, I need all my Mexicans together. Hi, Mama B. Mama B's in the chat room. All right, get all my Mexicans together. Boy, you missed some fireworks, Mama B. You might want to go back. You want to hear what I think about. You know, maybe you don't want to go back. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm sweating today. All right, I got my Mexicans. I need my Mexicans. The Hispanic population in this country is exploding. Yay! We're all gonna be tacos for everyone. The Hispanic population in the U.S. grew by 3.2 million from the beginning of the pandemic to mid-2023, making up, are you ready for this? 91% of the country's overall gain since the pandemic. 91% of the overall gain in population that this country has had has been Hispanic. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I couldn't be happier about it. I love my Hispanic people. I know there's a lot of that just bothered. This is like one of those trigger stories that like somebody out there is going, yeah, like it doesn't affect you at all, but you're just like, eh. Let me tell you something about my Hispanic friends. Their food is awesome, their culture is fun, and their women are beautiful. So anyone that would be upset about 91% of the growth in the American population over the past 3 years being Hispanic, anybody who's upset with that, they're not taking a closer look. They're not really looking at, one, like I said, the women. Here's another thing. Have you ever, or how I say this, this was said to me while I was in a car driving with somebody. Ooh, I got to be careful how I say it, because without the full context of what we were talking about, it could be taken as a negative, but it wasn't meant as a negative. It shouldn't be taken that way. Basically, it was this. If you drive through, I'm going to paraphrase it. If you drive through a low-income Hispanic neighborhood, it's going to be a nice neighborhood. There is no such thing as a Hispanic ghetto in America. Even low-income Hispanic neighborhoods, they take their houses. They may not even own them. They may be leasing. But here's the other thing about the Hispanic class in this country, as opposed to other minority groups, because the immigrant class of Mexicans would be classified as a minority group. Here is the difference that I have observed with my own eyes, and this person observed as we were driving through a lower income Mexican neighborhood. The neighborhoods are kept up beautifully. The lawns. Now, I know that sounds funny, but it's true. You go through a low income of any other demographic. You go through Appalachia, okay? Sure, if I want to be fair. You go through Appalachia. You go through certain neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago. You're going to see falling down houses that need paint. You're going to see grass that is overgrown. You're going to see bushes that are shitty. You do the same with Mexican people who have of the same income group or relatively same. It's going to be beautiful. It's a whole different mindset. Now, do you want to know why? It's not about race. It's not about race. Oh, what are you just saying? Black people and white trash are somehow... By the way, this show probably just got kicked off. That white with a T word, it's like a censor with YouTube. Like if you say that, YouTube's like, oh, it's a racist show. Here's my point. It is interesting to me that the American minority group that immigrated from a different country is the one that seems to really take pride in being here. Whereas the other low-income groups, be they white people, be they black people, be they, okay, I'm out. The other low-income groups, they don't seem to have the same kind of pride as like the up and coming Hispanic family culture neighborhood. And I think it's because they come from somewhere else. I think it's because they saw how bad shit can be and they see America as the land of opportunity. And when they come here, they work their asses off. They work 10 jobs. They stand and sit on a milk crate out in front of a Home Depot, hoping to jump in the back of some stranger's pickup truck so that they can make $50 that day. That's who those people are. And when they come home, their houses look nice. Their cars are clean. So I do not have a problem with 91% of the American growth as far as, adding to our population being Hispanic over the last 3 years. Welcome. Bring your delicious food, bring your hot girls, and bring your nice neighborhoods. Go back to your own country. Why? They're actually cleaning up low-income neighborhoods. They move into low-income neighborhoods that were maybe a different demographic of people live there. They move in and they make them nice. Barney says, I get intellectually that a Guatemalan taco might be different than a Mexican taco, but it seemed like a pointless distinction to make. Okay. I don't understand what's happening. Al says, Pugs, you're not going through the right neighborhoods. I grew up around Mexican neighborhoods. I'm going through, there was a neighborhood right by Love Field where I used to live adjacent to it. There was an apartment complex there. And this neighborhood, which is on, the wrong side of Love Field, not the Highland Park or close to University Park side, but this neighborhood, it changed. It changed very quickly, even though the houses were all the same and everything. And the person I was with noticed, he said, my God, do you see the difference between, the biker meth head white people part of this neighborhood and the Mexican immigrant part of this neighborhood? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it is a decidedly different sort of thing. What else do we have here? So anyway, that's it. I say welcome. I say all these new, this is what I was talking about earlier. See, I'm a proud Irish American. I'm an American. I love this country, but there's no American culture. I mean, and if there is an American culture, I, haven't been drawn to it. I mean, I suppose there are some things that I would say are culturally American, but I was raised, as well as my German friends and my Polish friends and my Jewish friends and my black friends, I was raised different culturally. The songs that I heard, the stories that I heard from the old people. And that's wonderful to just completely whitewash that and to pretend like, well, we should point people out in their different cultures. Why? Be curious about it. Embrace it. Learn about it. How am I supposed to... Do you know how long it was before I understood how good Mexican food was? Do you know that I grew up well into about the year 2000 thinking that the height of Mexican food was Taco Bell and a place in Chicago called Chi-Chi's? Do you know how wrong I was? I used to think the pecking order was Italian food, Chinese food, American burgers and steaks, and Mexican, yeah, sure, but not really top of the... Mexican food is on the top of my list now because I moved to Texas and I actually got to taste and hang out with and become a part of, in some ways, that culture. I dated a Mexican girl. Got to be a part of her culture. I like it. Love the food. I love the girls. So is my son. No, never mind. I'm not going to include my son in this. My son had a very funny observation about his friend, who happens to be the child. He's native born, but his parents came from Mexico. He had a funny observation. Anyway. Olympics. All right, let's do a medal count. Let's take a look at what's happening with the medals. Guess what? America has finally pulled ahead. That's right. Or has it changed? I don't know. Let's see. Has it changed? No. Okay. Overall medals, the United States of America has been dominating. Overall medals, we've been dominating. We're at 90. All right, 90 overall medals. We have been really good this whole 2 weeks now, almost 2 weeks. We've been really good at being like second and third best. We've been awesome. 90 total medals. Problem has been is that I can only be satisfied if we win the gold medal race. That has been dominated up until recently by the Chinese. We passed the Chinese up yesterday, just before we signed on for our stream. And I was all excited because I was going to get to announce that America is in the gold medal lead. And then that changed. And by the time I got to the story, China had passed us again. Well, guess what? We, the USA, we are still number one, or we're back to being number one. We are number one in overall medals at 90. Next closest is China at 62 and Australia at 39. But with the gold medals, we're at first place. 25 gold medals for the United States of America. 25 gold medals. China's got 24. So, And I don't know what events are coming up. I don't know, chopstick fighting. I don't know if that's like a medal sport. If it is, I'm thinking they're probably going to get a couple new gold medals. See, was that racist? Because I referenced something from their culture, not pejoratively and not in a way to say that they're less than us. No, I just mentioned it to be funny. And I think it wasn't racist. But if you think it is racist, you're the problem. 25 gold medals. China has 24 gold medals. Australia has 17 gold medals. France has 13 gold medals. Great Britain coming up in number 5 with 12 gold medals. I'm going to remind everybody, there's no Russians. Is there going to be look, been watching Olympics a long time. I'm an old man. I know the big three was always the Chinese. So you know who's benefiting from this? I don't know how much they would change like the overall medal count or the race for gold. They would be right there. Russia would be right there. But Australia is really benefiting. Australia is in third place. I got to believe if Russia was participating in these Olympics, I would have to believe that Australia would probably not be in third place. All right, more news from the Olympics. What do we have? A bunch of people are getting sick. Swimmers, triathletes who swim across the Seine River. People poop in that river. People have been saying that people poop in that river for years and years, and yet the Olympics still went, we'll hold events in the poop river. They cleaned it up, or at least they promised that they did, and then they started holding events, and now people are getting sick from swimming in poop water. I don't know. I don't want to say they told you so, but they were talking about this being a problem, and they were like, oh, it's fine. We swim in the poop water all the time. Let's see here. What else do we have? Medal count. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this. I will leave you with this story because I got to get out of here. It's 2:04. I love you guys. By the way, please help out the show, man. We didn't come anywhere close. We didn't get any good tips. We averaging nothing a day. So if you can help the show out, drop a little something if you support this kind of talk radio. I would say nonpartisan. It's still nonpartisan, but I guess today it might have been pretty divisive because I'm sorry. I tell it like it is. The way I see it, you can hate me for seeing it differently than you, but I don't hate you because we see it differently. I don't. We just see it differently. Like I say to my son, not angry, just disappointed. Just disappointed that you can't see what I see. But here, I'm going to leave you with this. Tenacious D, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Tenacious D, if you remember, they were performing down there in Australia. And it was the night that President Trump avoided near disaster in the assassination attempt. Disaster, tragedy, whatever you want to call it. He avoided it. Still, you get a little blood and all that kind of stuff. But he's fine, bounced back like that. Not a big thing. But still, that night, we didn't know that. No, we didn't know anything. And Tenacious D is down there in Australia. Tenacious D is, of course, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. They're down there performing in Florida, and I guess it's Kyle Gass's birthday, and so they stop the show at some point to bring out a birthday cake. They bring out the birthday cake. Kyle Gass blows out the candles. Jack Black says, "What did you wish for?" And Kyle Gass makes not only a dumb joke, which is sort of, oh, yeah, that's why we don't know who he is, and everybody knows who Jack Black is. He's the not funny one in Tenacious D. He's maybe the more hardcore musician who does all, but he's not the funny one. He tried to make a joke, and he made a very ugly joke about a very serious situation, especially a few hours after the Trump assassination attempt. I don't even remember what it was. He said, "What'd you wish for?" I think it was the guy not to miss next time, something like that, words to that effect. So that was what he said. And it was bad. And in the moment, we saw it on video. In the moment, Jack Black was like, "Oh, happy birthday." And they sing happy birthday or whatever. Now, in the hours that followed, there was blowback because that's a terrible thing to say. It doesn't matter if you're like me, who just doesn't understand the appeal of Donald Trump, or somebody who loves Donald Trump. You don't say that kind of shit. You just don't say that about people. God, these political calls. How is this a thing? I'm not even a registered. What was that? That was an Illinois number. All right, never mind. Lost my train of thought. All right, now I'm going to find out whoever that was, and I will absolutely not vote for them because I lost my train of thought. Terrible thing. Tenacious D, Kyle Gass makes the joke, and then a few hours later, Jack Black, who is probably surrounded by a phalanx of publicists and managers and all of these advisors. Kyle Gass is not. Kyle Gass has no work. Jack Black is the star. And they got in his head and they said, you need to distance yourself from Kyle Gass. And you remember I came on the air the next day and we talked about how Jack Black had essentially disbanded Tenacious D. The tour was over and he would no longer be working with Kyle Gass. That was his pledge. I came on here and I said, that makes me think less of Jack Black. That makes me think a whole lot less of Jack Black. He and Kyle Gass have been friends, close friends, dear friends for years, 20, 25 years. They've been playing together. They were both nobodies. Now Jack Black is a superstar. And he says one stupid thing, which was, yes, stupid, unnecessary, all of that. And there should be some kind of a public criticism of it. But Jack Black just runs and cuts bait on his buddy. I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Well, apparently that's not true. Apparently that has changed because Jack Black is now talking. This is an interview that he gave. Who was he talking to here? He says that no, Tenacious D is not broken up and that they are back and that he is talking to Kyle and he and Kyle are friends. Jack Black says Tenacious D will, quote, be back following tour cancellation due to Kyle Gass's Trump shooting remark. Jack Black says these things take time. Continue reading on the app. I don't want to continue reading on the freaking app. All right, never mind. When asked if he has spoken to Kyle Gass since the incident, Jack Black, without missing a beat, said, every day he's my best friend. All right, so Jack, you're back. All right, so I'll let you back in. And you got to believe if that is true that they're best friends. I am absolutely certain that when Kyle Gass heard what Jack had done, the band is broken up and I have no plans to ever work with him again. When that was the public statement, you got to believe there was some moments where Kyle Gass is looking at Jack Black going, what the fuck, dude? Thanks for completely. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those. Because I'm sure it was Jack Black like, look, fuck you. That was stupid. I didn't think this was going to happen. But man, oh man, I got to do this. And now here we are a couple of weeks later. Dust has settled and Jack Black's like, no, he's my boy. All right, all's well that ends well. I do wish they had done the Trump thing. Remember, I always talk about how one of the things that Trump taught me that I now think is amazing, which is don't give in. If Tenacious D, instead of Jack Black caving to the mob, instead of caving and saying Tenacious D is broken up and I'm not ever going to work with Kyle Gass again, instead of doing that, Jack Black should have said, yeah, that was regrettable. That was stupid. I'm going to talk to Kyle. If he would have just said that, it would have gone away in 48 hours. But no, everybody's a pussy. And, when they're in trouble, they want to fall on their sword and be like, I did the right thing by tanking my entire career. No, stop it. Trump taught us that. Trump taught us, nah, I'm doubling down. This is what I believe. I ain't going to apologize for it. And you morons are going to forget all this in 72 hours and you're going to find something else to be pissed about because that is absolutely how it works. I was disappointed that Jack Black threw his buddy. I have no plan. That was the quote. I have no plans to work with Kyle again. That was a very definitive thing. The tour is over. The band has broken up and I have no plans to work with Kyle again. That's what upset me. Anyway, he's back. He's apologizing. That's fine. Boys can do that. I've probably done shitty things to my friends and they've taken me back. I know my friends have done shitty things to me and I've taken them back. So, all right. All's well that ends well. Still a fucking stupid and unnecessary thing, Kyle. You didn't have to say that. All right. That's going to do it, folks. One more time. Please tip the show if you can. It would be greatly appreciated. We are... Woo! That's it. We'll be back tomorrow. Every day we do this show here on the RadioMisfits.com. RadioMisfits.com, your home for all quality podcasts. What are you looking for? Looking for a soccer podcast? They got that. It's really good. Do you like wine? Really good one. Our weed show over there was just written up in Forbes magazine. Oh, that good stuff. We got a show on Radio Misfits that's co-hosted by a member of Jefferson Airplane. Yeah. And it's a weed show from San Francisco. Once again, I'll announce what I said at the start of the show. We are looking to form a gang. If you are interested in becoming a part of Radio Misfits Dallas, we are going to try and build out something that is a consistent creator and publisher of local Dallas talk and entertainment content. That's what we're doing here. Hit me up. You want to be a part of this little gang. What I'm looking specifically for is people who can produce their own content. We cannot be using any more. We just don't have producers are just, and I'm sure a lot of you can do that. Hit me up, pugs@radiomisfits.com. That's pugs@radiomisfits.com. One more time. Drop a little something in the tip jar if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Be cool with one another. I know I will. I'm always really cool when I leave here, especially lately. I am allowed to vent and rant and all that here. When I go out there with all the rest of the great unwashed, I am docile as a baby lamb. Bye, everybody.